but somewhere the badminton or the essence of the sport kinds of gets diluted. That's what I feel. It wasn't very difficult. My truth is my strength, and that kind of gives me my, the confidence I have. I never lied. I never cheated anybody. I never tried to manipulate anybody. So a person like me who has done nothing but play badminton, why should I be fearing anybody?
So this episode, I have my first sports personality for Say What with Mansa on Clapboard, and she is one of my favorites. I'll tell you why, because she's what you see is what you get, and she's somebody who's always had the courage to speak her mind, and she has done so much for badminton and our country and for the sports. I cannot be more excited to welcome Jwala Gutta to Say What on Clapboard Productions. Jwala, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And first of all, I must say, what a fighter you are. It's truly an inspiration, because I've met you, a few times before. Super fun, super chill. But I know you can be such a fighter. Things you have fought for. Honestly, I wish I could speak my mind out like that every single time.
I hope I've been able to motivate and inspire a few women around me, and I think we need to stand with each other. That is the need of the hour now.
True. We need to support each other, have each other's back. That we all need. But I want to ask you, freedom fighters family, and now we know, what's there in your blood also, and genes. Badminton, you were just interested and you took it up. I'm sure it couldn't have been that easy.
You're talking about badminton?
Yes.
Badminton, I played a lot of other sports as well. I started off with tennis. My dad always wanted me to be a sports person. And I started with tennis and, volleyball. I played cricket. I played table tennis. I played all sports. But my mom introduced me to badminton, and it kind of got stuck to me, and that's how it is. Very plain and simple. But in my house, they never even thought of anything else but taking up sports as a profession. From the beginning, it was not a good habit I had to develop. It was not for physical fitness. It was just a serious profession for me.
Oh, that is so cool, because that's another battle for some people, fight it out at the family front and then take up sports. But what a journey, 316, that's a big number, a record achieved by anybody. World Championship, there is Commonwealth gold. I can go on the list as, work up. It's a long list. I want to ask you this. You also were a junior champion. What was it like, a young girl picking up sports, and back then things must have not been easier. I mean, what can you remember? What was life like?
See, I think now when I compare things, I think things were better off then, I think there was a lot of innocence. There was now if you actually see the world, I don't know, I might be wrong, I don't know how to generalize it, but the majority of it now, it's it's more, I don't know if I should be using that word, but it's more like everybody is kind of greedy, greedy
it's
for
more commercial.
I don't know if it's greedy for fame, name, or money, but I think those reasons are wrong to be in sports. I think sports is, we took up sports to represent the country and do something good for the country, and, and bring laurels to the country. The celebrityness of it, the fame, name of it kind of came later on along with the whole baggage. But now, the aims are kind of shifted now, because now the media is so much stronger. There's so much more exposure. I think now the young parents are realizing that you can probably make a lot of money. That time when we took up badminton, we knew that there was not too much money. we still took it up because we wanted to kind of, it was a passion. We wanted to pursue this as a career and, lay a path for the future generation. So I would then, then those circumstances were different, but it wasn't, now things are totally different, it's very different. Then we were all a team, who were playing with me, who were practicing with me till date. We are kind of best of friends. And today also, if I call any of my friends, then even though I've not been in touch with many of them, even today, I guarantee you, they'll all come to, come to help me out, or come, they're just one call away. That's the kind of relationships we kind of, built. But now things are different. Now it's all about me. Then, I think the coaches and my parents kind of taught that, we're all part of the society, and those kind of basic things which we always teach, but that now something missing. So then I thought it was difficult, but now today, what I am now, when I look back, I think I had it easy because also I had super encouraging parents,
Yes.
so I'm lucky that way. So I can't complain really. I've had my struggles, doesn't mean that I've not, but I do not complain really. I think things are tougher now.
Yeah, I can imagine. I understand what you're saying and where you're coming from. For me also, our days were much simpler and it had a purpose. Now there's no direction.
Exactly. I think it was simpler. Now it's more complex.
Yeah.
You just don't have to learn about, you just don't have to learn playing badminton, but you also have to learn other social skills, which I totally lack in. And I am completely, I'm a very socially awkward person. I don't really socialize much. You would not see me here and there. I get invited to many functions. I avoid it as much as possible. You'll hardly see me anywhere. So I lack all of that. Now this generation is, exposed. They know what it's needed.
True. We were better off back then, Jwala.
No, but somewhere the badminton or the essence of the sport kinds of gets diluted. That's what I feel.
True. The focus gets, off a bit. But I also wanted to ask you, I think there has been one constant in your life, that is Mr. Arif. And I have to talk about him before I come to the big titles, of course. If you can tell us, because he's always been there. When I go back and read his statements about you, the equation looks fantastic and solid to me. That's the word I want to use.
We've had our fights, I have fought with Arif so many times, but I think that was the kind of relationship we shared, although I've had difference of opinion with him, doesn't mean I disrespect him, doesn't mean he disrespects me. He's always encouraged me to be me and to put my thoughts forward. I think that's one of the reasons whatever you see today, I think Arif sir has a major part to play in my life, in my character building. And whatever I've learned today is a lot from Arif sir. The values of life. He's always told me, respect everybody, every human being around you, even the person who is bringing you tea has a part to play in your life. You cannot, he's probably making your life easier. You don't have to go and make your own tea or go grab your own tea, right? So he's playing a part. The people who are sweeping the court and cleaning the court for you, they're playing a big part in your life. You cannot undermine them at any time. And that's the kind of, and I think it is so important for a coach or a teacher to teach such things, because we as children spend more time with the coaches and the teachers than our parents. And it becomes so important to have a good teacher who's teaching you how to live in a society, not only the skills, not only the, the career part of it, but I think a good teacher would always teach you more than what he's supposed to, and that's what I think. That's what I feel that I've been lucky that I've had such people around me. And And I think youngsters now are not as lucky as me.
That's a great thing to say. I every time I meet a doubles player, I'm fascinated by the doubles, honestly. And I ask them this question. That's a very big decision to make, especially for a badminton player. Okay, I'm going to go doubles. Do you remember what exactly happened and what prompted this decision?
Um, I was a junior national champion. I was singles
Yes,
national champion.
14 times if I'm right.
I was also number 2 in the country in singles. I took up doubles because somebody told me that you cannot do it. And when somebody says I cannot do it, I have to show you how I do it. I did not like how my seniors were kind of treating doubles whenever I was 15 when I was in the Indian team, and when I went to other country to play, I was seeing how the other countries were treating their doubles, and I was seeing ours before we got onto court they had already given up. So I was kind of confused. I didn't understand what was happening, and I came back home and I told Arif sir and my father that I had a discussion saying that this is what is happening. I don't know, they're not taking it seriously. So what my father and Arif sir said, whenever you get onto court, whenever, doesn't matter if you are unwell or if you are not able to you're not there 100%, but whenever you're on court, make sure you give 100%. You are no less than a world champion. When you have the racket in your hand, even if you're facing a world champion, you are the boss. And that kind of, they kept saying all these things to me, and it took practice. I wouldn't say that I was just born fearless and I was born this positive and I was born confident. It took years of practice to be where I am today, even mentally. It takes practice, and I practiced every day. I told myself I never feared anybody. I played with boys all the time.
Yeah.
So and if you see, in my time there were a lot of singles players. There were more than 8-9 good singles players, unlike today there's nobody. You will just have one name, but in my time there were many. And I thought, why not, let's try. I was questioned, I was criticized for making this decision, but I said I'll show it to you, and I showed it. I wanted to do something he had done. Singles always, if you see, we had Prakash sir, we had Gopi, we had Aparna Popat, but in doubles we had nobody. And I wanted to show what we could achieve as Indians if we put our head to it.
That takes a lot of guts, a lot of guts. But now I have to move on to Commonwealth Gold. My God, that was a big one. And what a way to show what you're worth. Seriously. Tell us, did you girls go in, thinking, okay, we've got, of course, every game you have to win, but you have a feel about every game. Tell me, what was it on your mind before and after? What was it like, Commonwealth Gold?
Ashwini and me then were relatively very new. We just started playing in 2009. And Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
And as usual, there was no expectations from us. Okay. I think we were lucky, then expectations builds pressure. And I had, before 2010 Commonwealth Games, I had performed really, really well in my mixed doubles. We were beating world champions. We were winning Chinese Taipei Open. We reached the finals of the Master Finals Super Series. I was world number 6 in mixed doubles. And but when the Commonwealth Games came, I knew it was going to be very prestigious, because the biggest part is we were going to play in our country in front of our home crowd, because our people don't really know what kind of a speed we are playing in, what kind of opponent we're playing against, and they didn't know the level of playing. But I knew that this was the chance, this was the opportunity to kind of display what we've been working hard for. And I told Ashwini only one thing: forget about the gold medal, forget about winning a match. We need to focus one point at a time. That's about it.
Yeah.
And Ashwini was relatively very young, much junior to me. So, I was more like a mentor, more like a senior on court. But it kind of worked what I said, all 12 days in Delhi, if you see the matches, it was house full all 12 days.
Yes.
And so difficult to play in such atmosphere where you can't hear yourself play, you cannot hear those
True.
shots. Yeah. So, but me and Ashwini, I think we were so focused on one point from the beginning of the tournament till the end that it kind of worked, and it worked many times after that.
True, true. I remember your interview after that game. It's like, now people know. you know, did that hit you?
No,
Yeah.
now people know. Now people know, but people know. People still acknowledge what I've done. People know, but I still feel really sad that my own people, my own association people back then, and I think till Rio, they did not. I deserved much more. I deserved much more, and they I feel betrayed and disrespected. Yeah.
I know where that is coming from, and the battle that we fought back then. I don't know how many of us could have. Honestly, kudos to you for that. But first, I want to talk about World Championship because, oh, I mean, how many times have you created history? Be it the Commonwealth Gold, be it the World Championship. This is Jwala Hooda for us in her element. I mean, did it hit you how big what you had done was, how big this achievement was at a time like that?
Well, the whole badminton of our country knew how big it was.
Yeah.
But I think even the media knew how it was. But we came back to an empty airport. And just the next year, Sindhu won the same bronze medal, and there were hundreds of people receiving her, and that's the kind of discrimination which we kept facing. And it's not a good feeling, you represent the country, you've made a history, you're the first Indian, forget doubles or singles, you're the first Indian to win a medal, championship medal, not the first man, not the first woman. You're the first Indian to win a medal, and we were not celebrated. Our medals were not celebrated, and it was very difficult for me to explain to Ashwini what was happening, because I was feeling kind of guilty that probably she is suffering because of me, because the association was trying to, put me down. And in order to do that, Ashwini was kind of suffering. I felt, guilty about it when it came to Ashwini. When it came to Diju, I think Diju is also one of the best mixed doubles.
Yeah.
I think a male mixed doubles player India has ever produced, but we failed somewhere to celebrate, and that's one of the reasons now, if you see, if Olympics was to be held this year, there was no mixed doubles and doubles representation from our country. And you see the level right now, it's completely gone. There's no news about doubles, and the players themselves are very much satisfied with whatever they're getting, which is really sad. I feel sad, So I thought I kind of laid a path, but yes, I feel bad that my juniors have failed to take the advantage of that path. Yeah.
I understand. And Jwala, for us, it is one of the most celebrated victories, the first World Championship medal. And we have a girl getting it for us. I mean, I want to say you go, girl. The battles you've fought. And I don't know, if you feel comfortable talking about it, the battle that you fought with the association regarding the ban. And I remember it vividly. I remember it. You stood like a pillar, so solid till the very end. What kept you going? I mean, I know it's, of course, you love the sport, but the way you conducted yourself, honestly, that's strength, that's women empowerment right there.
it wasn't very difficult. You know, my truth is my strength, and that
Right.
kind of gives me my the confidence I have. I never lied.
Right.
I never cheated anybody. I never tried to manipulate anybody. So me, who a person like me who has done nothing but play badminton, why should I be fearing anybody? You know,
Right.
and you know, people don't realize, okay, you know, it's great to be an Olympic champion, but in our country, which is not a sporting nation, to be a national champion itself takes a lot, which we don't realize. You know, we take it very easy,
Yeah.
and forget being a national champion. To take up sports as a
Yes.
profession, the decision, the day you make that decision, you need a lot of courage. You have to be really brave to do that. But
True.
people don't realize that. You know, people still have their attitude ki, ha, you know, sports is a good habit. You know, it is good for our physical, whatever, you know, fitness. But
True.
people don't take sports very seriously. People don't realize that only in a profession of sport is where you call world champion. Not in
Right.
any other sport you're called a world champion, or any other profession you're called a world champion.
World
So
champion. Yes.
we need to value that title. You know, we need to celebrate, you know, whatever personal, or actually I don't know, it wasn't a personal tiff with the association as well. I was just, they were trying to arm twist me. I refused to bow down in front of anybody, because today I became a national champion because of my parents sacrifice, I would say, and hard work, and my dedication and my hard work and my belief in myself. The association, or this, you know, the chief coach who became chief coach in 2006, he didn't have any part to play in my career, you know. And why would I give him any credit, or why would I probably trust him? Because I know whatever he's saying is not good for my career. And I listened to myself, I did what I had to, and that's why I kind of won so many, you know, titles, in spite of being pulled down again and again and again. Even after Rio Olympics, I come back and they just threw me out of the national team without any warning and without any respect, you know. At least bid me a good I expected, I don't know if I expected, but I thought, okay, at least they'll give me a good farewell, you know, because I've had a 20-year career where I played for the country, and almost 30 years I have been playing badminton. And if you don't respect me, how, you know, how the future generation is ever going to take doubles or mixed doubles seriously?
I get it. I get it. I wanted to ask you this actually, you have been outspoken every single time, but are there any times, Jwala, I'm sure that's in your blood and you've been raised to speak your mind, to be truthful, but are there any times, any moment wherein you say, okay, Jwala, let's take it easy and slow this time? Do you ever tell yourself that
now
mentally?
now you see, the things are so not, you know, I don't know, you know, I sometimes doubt that, are we really in a democratic country, you know,
True.
now. Uh, and now I have to kind of hold back a lot of things, because now I'm coming up with my own academy. Now I have to safeguard
Yes.
my children, you know.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't want to feel guilty, or I don't want my children now to suffer, you know, what I have been through, you know. And now I'm not scared for myself. See, I have nothing to lose, you know.
Yes.
I'm not a greedy person. I think if I wanted to earn money, I wouldn't have played badminton. I would have done something
Yeah.
else. I think I'm quite capable of doing anything else but badminton, you know, to just to earn money. But for me now, you know, my academy is also a chance for me to prove what I've been saying again. You know, I've proved myself again and again and again, but I think that's never enough. I think I am meant to fight it out all the time. So the academy for me is again to prove that, you know, give a holistic environment to children. You not only have a champion coming out of it, I am aiming to make good human beings, you know, which I rarely see right now.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm going to come to your academy, but I want to ask about you first, you, the player first. What has, for somebody like you, so many challenges you have seen, because you started sport at an age wherein girls picked up sports not so often. For someone like you who's seen different eras of the sporting, path, what has been a personal biggest challenge for you? I want to know that you overcame.
Biggest challenge. I think biggest challenge is that people, even after winning so many big titles, people still
Yeah.
didn't trust me.
Yeah.
And it's my achievement somehow. I have won so many tournaments I have forgotten. My manager kind of reminded me, okay, in this year you won this. I'm like, yeah, I went there. Yeah, I went there. Okay, yeah, I won these tournaments. But somehow I don't know if I
Many.
failed.
These many. I've written them down.
I don't know if I failed. I want to say that because I don't think I've failed at any. I think
Of course not.
people have failed to acknowledge my um, achievements.
Yes.
Somewhere I have failed to convince them that this is the right way to be in, you know,
Yeah.
because I always felt that apart from our careers, I think we are citizens, and we're the citizens of our country. We're part of the society. It cannot be just me, and my career, and something else is happening right beside you, and you can just overlook that. I think that if that's the kind of nature any other human being have, I don't really, even if he's a world champion or an Olympic champion, I would never give them that credit, because I think you're a human being first. And somehow what I have preached and practiced has scared a lot of people, and I feel bad about it sometimes, that I whatever I did was truthful and very straightforward, and I kind of believed
And
in my path.
that is very difficult in
But
our country to accept, when a woman especially stands for what she believes.
I failed to I feel a little bad that I failed to convince people that this is safe. It's definitely not safe what I do, you know, because a lot of
I
powerful
honestly,
people are unhappy.
no, I don't think you failed at all on any level, Jwala. I think people do get intimidated, and that's not your fault at all. I think you should take that as a
And
compliment.
also, I'm
But
very tall, so I can't blame you. Can't blame me. I'm very tall. My genes are to be blamed, not me.
I said it's not your fault. And I love the fact that you're tall and you stand tall every time. I wanted to ask you this, because you have spoken about a lot of causes. And one thing you've always spoken about is you fought body shaming. And that is very, very necessary because these days, I don't know, perfection is overrated. Everybody wants to look perfect and what not they're doing. And if somebody is a little different, there they get shamed for it. I just want you to tell me, I mean, for you, did it ever affect you at any point of time?
Not really, because I knew that I was able to move. I knew I was able to perform.
Yeah.
Lot of people tried to put me down, saying that you're big, you cannot play. I'm a big girl. I have big body frame, and I'm tall. I'm more than 5'11". So I look big, but it never came in my way of performing, and
Yeah.
I I don't know how to put it, but we don't realize the kind of comments, हम बचपन से, like from my childhood, although it could sound very subtle, but somewhere we are talking about each other's body, you know,
True. True.
and now and we never took it seriously or to our heart that it kind of affected me mentally. But now this era is totally different. You see a lot of teenagers using social media, the selfies, the pictures, they wait for the likes of the pictures, Now I think it affects the children and the younger lot, the youth of our country, is because now everybody has become conscious. Everybody wants to look good. The cosmetic industry has grown so much in our country. You know, you can see that by those stats. I think everybody has become so conscious about how they look. This constant comparison because of the social media. You know, I think I come from an era. That's why I tweeted yesterday, you know, I really thought that the youth or, you know, the generation after me would be more intelligent, will be more focused, will be achieving much more than me because of the technology they have to use. I never had that kind of a technology in my time. You know, the exposure they have right now, they know much more than what I knew at their age, you know. But now, actually, if you see, they are just a dumb lot. You know, they would believe anything. They have lost the ability to analyze anything, any news coming on social media. They've lost the power uh, uh, to understand any subject because of this technology today. And I feel bad for them. Yeah, I feel utterly bad for them.
They're so dependent on their phones and information that the phone gives. Here it's all empty. It's all in the phone, I think.
That's why today the body shaming kind of affects them more than what it probably affected me. People call me, you know, my friends used to call me Moti. You know, although now I look back at pictures like, fuck, when was I Moti, you know? But it was, I knew they were calling me, you know, with love, pyar se bula rahe. They call me Moti, Motu. That was fine, you know, it never affected me. But now, if somebody calls me that, I'm like, okay, what are you trying to say? You know, but for me, you know, my mind, I've grown so much of thick skin that doesn't affect me that much that will cause me a mental breakdown. But now I worry for the youth of our country.
True.
Yeah.
I think our generation was like that back then. Everything didn't have so much negativity poured into it like it does now.
And I took it up as challenge, you know, and I welcome constructive criticism. Doesn't matter. You know, okay, if you think that I'm lacking somewhere, I'm ready to do it. You know, I'll do it and you know, it might help me. I don't know if it'll help me. It might. I'm like, why not give it a go? I'm that kind of a person.
Yeah. But now I think you have done something, I'm sure, which has been on your mind for a while. Finally, the academy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big thing again, Jwala Gupta Academy of Excellence. Tell us about it, please, because I know I have followed you for years and I know you wanted this to happen and you have fought for it again, yet another battle, you know, on your list. Tell us about the academy. You must be so happy. Congratulations.
Thanks. It just doesn't stop, is it, for me? I think. But, you know, I always wanted to do this. I think since the age of 18, I've always had that mindset of giving back to the society. I didn't know that after achieving so much, it would be so difficult because I saw my seniors do it very easily, the government helping them, you know, government coming forward. But I think, you know, today, I think it was difficult for me. Of course, everybody knows why it was difficult for me. That's why I think people are scared to take the path I laid. I don't blame them. Not everybody can do it. I don't advise everybody to do what I did, but they could learn a thing or two. So for past 8 years, I've been, you know, going after the government to, you know, help me out, give me support. You know, let's bring sports, let's make a sports culture. That's the kind of proposals I had given, and everybody liked it, and they but it just didn't you know, fall under. So my dad retired 2 years ago, and he was like, I was about to take a bank loan to build this academy. And that's when he said, no, don't worry, I've just retired. So he took out money from his retirement fund, and we sold a house, and we made the academy. and I'm very proud of it. Again, if people think, oh, Jwala is so arrogant and proud, I'm like, yeah, because I did everything on my own, and of course, I am going to be proud, and I will speak to you with a lot of pride. If you want to take it negatively, it's your bad, But I think I've made one of the biggest and the finest academy in the country. If you see the pictures, and you will probably one day visit it, and I'm very proud of it, and I can't wait to open.
I know a lot of people who've been to the academy, and they were telling me, Manjula ma'am was there, sister was there. They were telling me how fine it is, and too many things coming together in this academy, too many things happening, right?
Academy is, so basically, my whole idea was to have sports and education together. I always that sports life is a very small life and a very small world. After finishing the sporting career and you're just 30 or 35, you're still very young. You should know how to be in a normal world, and that will only happen, and that you will only learn in a school. If you go to school, if you read, if you have friends off the sport. If you see me, I hardly have friends in sports. I made a conscious decision to have friends, outside my sporting world, and that kind of helped me, being me. I understand a lot of things. I can talk about anything. I read a lot, and that is also because I went to school. I was mingling, and I was spending a lot of time with people who were not from sports background. So I think that is very, very important, because a sports person will retire at the age of 35 max. After that, they have their whole life to look forward to. And if there's no education, then they don't know what to do. So I want to promote a educated sports person who not only understand their sports, they should also understand which and what kind of society we are living in, so that we are able to take this country forward.
I cannot wait to visit the academy, and I'm sure a lot of people with your attitude, very progressive attitude, I'm sure there will be a lot takeaway from the academy, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to look forward to it. And congratulations on it, because I'm sure this is like a long time dream come true for you.
It is. I think my dreams will really come true if I have at least. I see. I'm not here to. I don't want to say that I'm here to only make champions. I want to give back to the society in a real way. I want that whoever passes out from my academy, I'm able to give good human beings to the society, and that's my aim.
I'm a teacher myself, so I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. But now I want to.
I'm not going to be the coach. I'm going to have coaches. I'm the bridge between the coach, the player, and the parents.
It's the best place to be.
Yeah, I'm just going to be the bridge. I don't think I can coach. Coaching is a very pious job, and I will leave it to the coaches to do their job. Yeah.
No, I'm sure you will do whatever you have set your mind to do. But now I want to lighten the moment up a bit, and I want to play a quick rapid fire round with you. Nothing controversial. We're going to keep it fun. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to know more about Jwala now. One movie you have seen zillion times, Jwala.
One movie I've seen a zillion times. Ratchasan, the Tamil. Yeah, I've seen it more than 10 times now. Don't ask me why, but I have.
I'm not asking you why. A song that you listen to a lot on loop on your phone or wherever.
I listen to everything.
Yeah.
Really depends on my mood. I listen to English pop, soft rock. I listen to Hindi pop. Nowadays, I'm listening to a lot of 90s songs, those remixes. DJ
Ah,
Akeem.
oh, cool. Cool. One word Jwala used to say a lot on the courts. Still does, maybe. Word that
What?
just comes out of your mouth.
F word, man. It just comes. It's I don't know. It just comes. Yeah.
Thank you for being honest. One thing,
Yeah.
one thing Jwala Hutta should stop doing, a vice that she should get rid of.
Shopping. I'm an online shopper. It's not good.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
I feel your pain. But tell me one title that you wanted in your kitty and wo reh gaya bas.
Olympics. Olympic for sure. I think I've won everything apart from Olympics. So not many people can say that.
Yeah.
So, but I think Olympics. If I was not troubled, I was constantly troubled, Manasa. So I think, my mom is Chinese and, the kind of sporting culture they have. So she said, in spite of going through so much, you qualified for Olympics twice in your life. For me, you're an Olympic champion. She says that. But I wish I had won that one medal. And I was very close in London. So,
I know,
yeah.
I know. You created history there also when we speak of Olympics. For me that also holds a lot of weight. But I want to ask you this. What is that one thing you never keep in your kitchen? It's not allowed inside your kitchen.
What is that one thing that's not allowed in my kitchen?
Yeah.
Nothing. I eat everything. I eat, drink, everything. So, yeah.
That's a kitchen to be in.
You'll have everything in my kitchen. I also like a lot of vegetables, so you'll find a lot of vegetables also in my kitchen. So I don't have anything. I eat Karela, Bagan. People like, oh, I don't like this. I think one thing you will not find in my kitchen is chow chow. Do you know that vegetable chow chow? It's a
No,
green
what's
thing.
ha?
Yeah, I hate that. So I think that you'll not find in my kitchen. Yeah.
If you have to sum it all up and say a line about yourself to all of us, what would that be?
It's been a roller coaster ride for me, and and I think it's still not, and it's still not the end.
It's
Um,
not. It's not. You're not even halfway through. You're still, exploring, expanding, growing.
I'm here to stay. You'll see a lot of me in future.
I hope so, personally. But I have to congratulate you. We all saw the post. Now it's public, so congratulations. From one sister to another, we know when you find love and happiness and joy. I am so happy for you. Every time this happens to a girl, I'm super happy. And I see a very girly side of Jwala every time I see you with your fiance, the post, in the pictures. They're just lovely. Are you in that very rosy space right now, being engaged to Vishal?
Vishnu, Rosie, I don't know. I'm not very romantic kind of a person. Okay,
Okay.
I am I think when it comes to relationships, I'm very practical. Um,
Okay.
I I believe in respecting each other's profession. I think we always talk about how in a relationship we need to respect each other. But if you see, people have that respect for each other, but they fail to respect each other's profession, and that's where the whole turmoil starts. But I've learned that, and I'm not saying that I was always like this, but I've seen that from my parents. I've learned that I believe in, you know giving that workspace. I'm not that 24 hours girlfriend, or I'm not going to be that wife. Where are you? Why not replying to my messages? I'm not that at all. He's also not that. We both are very focused in our careers right now, and that's
Yeah.
a good thing. That's a good thing.
To be on the same page is everything, is everything. One is holding the other one back, then you're gone. There's no balance in the relationship. But I love the ring, I must say. It was very quirky, very different, very Jwala.
Yeah, that was spontaneous thing. You know, even he did not plan it. He and my manager together, they kind of, I didn't know that was happening. It was kind of a shock. I think even his parents were in shock. My parents were definitely in shock. And and they were cribbing all the time. My parents were cribbing that they were not part of it. But it was a very spontaneous thing. It was sweet. It was a sweet moment. Yeah.
See, I don't know you personally so well, though I've met you many a times. I think you were one of the first sporting celebrities I met when I moved to Hyderabad. And from the first time onwards, I've come to your place, you've come to my studio. The one thing that has always hit me about you is how warm Jwala is. For me, it's always that you're warm, you're in your face, and you're straightforward. And to me, that's amazing. You're my kind of girl. And you know, I know you're going to stay just that way. There's so much happening in your life, and I'm so happy for you. And I'm sure the journey is just going to take you to amazing places. Thank you so much for doing this. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Jwala. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Okay.
Heart? Yeah, thumbs up. Okay, cool.
Comment, share, like, subscribe to Clapboard Production.
Hi, this is Vijay Devarkonda. Please subscribe to Clapboard Production.
Hi guys, this is Advisesh. Subscribe to Clapboard.
Hi everybody, this is Rashmi. Subscribe to Clapboard.
Hello everyone, I'm Nandini. Please subscribe to Clapboard.
Don't forget to subscribe to Clapboard.
This is Vishwa. Subscribe to Clapboard.
Please to subscribe on Clapboard.
This is Nitya Shetty. Subscribe to Clapboard.
Please subscribe to Clapboard.
Hello, this is Sandeep Reddy Vanga. Please subscribe Clapboard.
Please subscribe Clapboard.
Hi guys, name me Hemachandra. Please do subscribe to Clapboard.
Hi, I'm writer Prasanna Kumar Bezwada. Please subscribe to Clapboard Productions.
Subscribe to Clapboard Productions.